with us. Daniel is a UX researcher who is currently working for Miravia, and he is based in Spain. He has lots of experience as a market researcher, previously worked in FMCG industry, and right now he is using both qual and quant methodologies to improve the e-commerce platform that Miravia has. And today he will be talking about how to use ChatGPT to effectively use ChatGPT as a UX researcher. Thanks, Daniel, and over to you.
Okay, so thanks, Suro. Thanks, Harris, for the introduction. And welcome, everybody, to this sharing. So yes, as Suro mentioned, I will like to share with you actually how I'm leveraging ChatGPT as a UX researcher. And the reason I choose this topic is because we all know that traditional research methods can be time-consuming and often fail to capture the full spectrum of user experiences. That's why I want you to introduce ChatGPT, and that can provide insights and recommendations based on our user responses. And so we will explore how to use ChatGPT to gain deeper insights into user behavior. Right now, it's a huge topic. And what I just said, I hope you are not agree with me, because actually this introduction was made by ChatGPT, as you can see in the screen. And I must say that I don't agree with this introduction, with this reply that ChatGPT gave to me. So in this talk, I will not talk about how to replace traditional research methods, because I think those are great if they are used in a proper manner. And I will not talk on how ChatGPT can provide insights and recommendations, because actually the insights will always come from our users, and the recommendations is something you need to work in with in collaboration with different teams. And I will not talk on how to gain deeper insights into user behaviors using ChatGPT. But I will share my own experience. So in this sharing session, I would like to share my own experience on how I'm leveraging ChatGPT, and in particular, how we can create great prompts. So the prompt, basically, it's the input we are giving to ChatGPT. In this particular case, this was the prompt. So I will talk on how to create good prompts so you can have good results, and also how to implement ChatGPT usage in your daily work in an effective way, in order to help you in particular with repetitive and manual tasks. For this, I will be using freshly released ChatGPT 4. But we will only scratch the surface of what GPT-4 can do, because actually the difference between GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 is that the GPT-4 is a multimodal. It's multimodal, and it can accept different inputs, not only text but also audio, images. And here, as I said, we will be scratching only the surface of what GPT-4 can do, because we'll use only the text. And the first question we can ask ourselves is, okay, how can ChatGPT help me in my daily work as a UX researcher? In this presentation, there will be also implications for other professionals, but I will focus on the case of UX researcher. And first of all, we need to know exactly what we do on a daily basis. So this is an overview of different research processes that as a UX researchers we do. So we do planning, we do project management, we do analysis, we do collaboration, and it's also important to learn, to keep always updating our knowledge, to keep up to date with industry trends. So this is just a simple overview of what we do. And actually, ChatGPT can help us in all of these different stages. It can help us providing good information for the different tasks that we are going to perform in all these research processes. There are, of course, some limitations we need to be aware of GPT. First of all, sometimes the answers are not accurate, is what we just seen previously. I was not agree with this introduction that GPT made. Also, there is a training data cutoff in 2021. So you will not get very updated information. If you do market research or you want to know what are the latest trends, just you need to have this into account. So there is a data cutoff. And also there are data privacy issues. So as a researchers, we used to handle sensitive data, in particular when, for example, if in qualitative research, we have access to the name of participants, to the ages, to some sensitive information. It's important to know that GPT works with the information you are providing to them. And you need to be careful of not sharing any confidential or highly sensitive information. So as I mentioned in this presentation, I will share my experience using ChatGPT. And just as a use case, we can imagine we are a UX researcher and we want to do a customer journey map, let's say, because a customer journey map is great to have a visual, to visualize how a buyer behave in a platform. So it can be a good example. And we'll create a customer journey map. And let's say that we want to create this customer journey map. So what we are going to do is just ask ChatGPT, create a customer journey map. And I think this is the first, maybe the first prompt I created for ChatGPT. Actually, the first days I used ChatGPT, it was just to ask silly questions. I think most of us have done this, ask about silly questions, ask ChatGPT to tell some jokes. But with the time, after a couple of days, I started to think how I could use ChatGPT for my work. And I will share with you some insights I get. But for this example, we are going to ask ChatGPT to create a customer journey map. And this is the result. And at this point, I think we can have mixed feelings. In the one hand, we are, of course, or I was amazed by all this detailed information with only 5 words. This is the prompt. I got these results, which is great. In this case, what ChatGPT did is to create a fictional coffee shop called Bean Heaven. And he's displaying different stages from discovering the brand to become a loyal customer. So this is great. It's a good example of what would be a customer journey map. But of course, it's not related to e-commerce. And here we're assuming that we are UX researchers focusing on the experience of our buyers in an e-commerce platform. So this is not very helpful for what we need to do. So it's important to understand, just to start, that it's all about the prompt. It's all about the information you are going to input into this chat. At the end, ChatGPT is a conversation. You are going to ask some questions. You are going to feed the AI with information. And based on your input, the AI will provide you some information. It can perform some tasks for you. And we are at the beginning of a new market, which is the market of prompts, because I've seen on the internet, I've seen on LinkedIn, people who are starting to sell prompts. We are at the rise of a new discipline, which is the prompt designing. Soon there will be prompt designers that will be creating very specific prompts for detailed tasks, and these prompts will help you to perform some manual tasks. But I think that it's very difficult to buy a prompt that is really helpful for your work, and the best approach, I think, is to learn how to use ChatGPT by yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the one who know exactly what you need for your work. You are the one who knows how you can automate some daily tasks. So we are going to see 5 rules in this sharing session. I want to share with you just 5 rules on how to create reasonably accurate prompts and how to implement GPT usage into your daily work. Okay, so let's start with the first rule. It's actually to be very clear and specific with what you want. And in order to be clear and specific, first you need to identify all these research processes we mentioned previously. You need to identify which are the tasks that ChatGPT can help achieve. And then you need to input what you really want into the prompt. So based on the prompt we just created previously, we are adding a couple of words. First, we are going to ask about a research plan. So we are going to ask ChatGPT to create a research plan and focusing on e-commerce platforms. So here we are providing some details to ChatGPT, and we will see the results. That's the result. This is the prompt. This is the result from ChatGPT. And we have improved from the previous example. So currently ChatGPT provide an example focused on e-commerce, which is good. It's including an estimate timeline. This is also good. It's something that a research plan must have. And he's explaining how to do a research plan. So this is quite good. By giving this input, being a bit more specific, being more clear, like creating a research plan for e-commerce platform, ChatGPT provided a more accurate result. But actually, this is not still a research plan. The ChatGPT is explaining how to do a research plan, but this is not a research plan, and it's not really helpful for me. But we have improved. So this is one first rule. You need to be clear and specific when you create prompts. The second rule is to provide context. And a great way to provide context to ChatGPT is to use role play. So we're going to see how to do it with this prompt. And you can use a super powerful word to do this, which is the word assume. So right now, what you are doing, it's you are putting ChatGPT into a specific situation. You are saying to ChatGPT, okay, assume you are a UX researcher. So the result will take this into consideration. And then you ask, okay, prepare a research plan in order to create a customer journey map for an e-commerce platform. And now we are going to see the results of adding this. So this is the result. And as you can see, it's much more detailed. Just by adding this sentence at the beginning, assume you're a UX researcher, we have a much more precise result. This answer provides details relevant for UX researchers, like a proposal of methodology. And I really like it because this is something I could use in order to create a customer journey map. And it provides guidance on how to create the research plan. But when you go into detail, it remains quite vague on some technical details. So for example, let's focus only on qualitative research. ChatGPT is talking about interviews. He's talking about focus groups. He's talking about ethnographic research methods, such as observing, diary studies. So ChatGPT took a bunch of different methodologies and he just input them into this answer. And this provides a not very accurate results because I don't know which is the best method ChatGPT wants me to use. So there are still some limitations, but we are coming closer to what a research plan could look like. So very good to provide context into your prompt and to use role play. This is something you can use if you are a UX researcher. You can say, assume you are a UX researcher at the beginning of the task you want ChatGPT to perform, or you can say, assume that you are a marketer, assume that you are a teacher, and GPT will take this into account for in its answer. Okay, rule number 3 is to input your expertise. And here the things are coming a bit more interesting and serious, because now what we are going to do is to provide some details to improve this prompt we created, with some details that will increase the accuracy of the results. In this case, our professional input is this phrase, so qualitative phase and quantitative phase. So we know that we can use the power of combining these two approaches in order to create a solid customer journey map. And actually using these two approaches can lead us to better results for our research. And this input, which is a professional input, is something that you need to provide to ChatGPT. It's not something that ChatGPT will provide to you. So you can copy the previous prompt and input this expertise. And we're also asking some details like objectives, target audience. We will ask also about methodology details, about length of interviews, questionnaire length, suitable quotas for gender. We can also input budget. And there is a powerful word you can use also into your prompts, is to add detailed. So by adding this detailed research plan, the results will be much more complete and much more focused on what you want. And it will provide information for each of the points that the answer the answer that you will receive. And another pro tip, and this is something interesting also you can do. Here at the end of the prompt, we are just saying, display the budget on a table so it will be easy to read. So this is an interesting pro tip you can also use into your prompts, because what ChatGPT will do is format this part. You can use formatting capabilities of ChatGPT, and this budget is something that you will be able to copy paste on an Excel sheet, for example, share it with finance team in an easy way. So this is a cool tip you can also use in your prompts. So let's see the results of this prompt. And here, so by applying these three rules, so being specific, providing context, inputting your professional expertise, you will have a much more detailed research plan. And this is becoming interesting. This is a document that I can actually use. I can share this document with other team members. I can work on this document. So this is actually a very interesting result that ChatGPT is providing to us. We see that we have one page for qualitative research. We have one page for quant. We have objectives, which are great for me. In the target audience, ChatGPT understood Gen Z users, is providing the age of the users, which is great. We have our table with the budget. This will be easy to copy and to paste and to share. We have the timeline. So basically, we have almost everything. Of course, it's not perfect. So here you notice the age from 97 to 2012. And if we go to the quotas for the qual phase, ChatGPT is including participants aged 25 to 30. So somehow ChatGPT did not catch the good information here. But besides this point, it's quite good. And also the methodology, again, he's mixing a little bit different approaches. We have in-depth interviews and usability testing. I don't know why he's proposing these two approaches, and the participants seems not very accurate. Also, I don't really know which ones are for interviews, which one for usability testing. So there are still areas for improvement. But at this very point, you can do two things. Or one option is to copy this prompt, to paste it again, and to adjust these details we mentioned. But I think the important thing here is that you have a good skeleton that you can copy paste and you can modify. You can adjust the budget because these budgeting elements maybe are not very accurate. You can adjust the quotas, you can adjust the age. So the useful thing here is that you have a good skeleton that you can use, and you can modify all the elements you need based on all the information you have, and actually you are not providing to ChatGPT. So do not create a perfect prompt. Create a prompt good enough and remain critical with the results. So this is also important, not to copy and paste the results without going through them, reading them carefully. Okay, the rule number 4 is to build upon prompts. And you remember the research processes? Something cool about ChatGPT is that it is a conversation. ChatGPT is a conversation. So you start talking with the artificial intelligence. ChatGPT will reply to you, and you will start having a conversation with the AI. And GPT will take into account all the conversation, all the context when he will reply to your questions. So until now, we have focused on planning. We have created a research plan. We have a prompt good enough to create a research plan. And now let's assume we want to do another task that is repetitive, which is sending an email to a recruitment agency. So we want to create a brief for the recruitment agency. And in this case, what we can do is to build upon what we have already built, what we have already been talking with ChatGPT. And we're going to say this in your prompt, just said based on the research plan shared above, because this is a conversation. And we are saying, assume that you want to brief a recruitment agency. And we are being quite detailed because we are saying to the chat, focus on the qualitative phase. Let's assume you want to recruit some participants for the qual. And we're asking ChatGPT, write an email to the recruitment agency and request a quotation for the following services. And then you can list all the different services. Also, a pro tip when you want to create email, when you want to brief an agency, is to specify the tone of voice you want to use. So at the end of this prompt, you can add this. Use a friendly and professional tone of voice. You can use the tone of voice you want, but this will adjust the tone of voice of the email to fit the intended recipient. So this is also something cool that you can use in your prompts. And here is the result. So actually, this is great. It's an email with all the detailed information. ChatGPT saying, my name is, it's saying to the recruitment agency who you are, what you are doing. He's providing context about the research. This is good for the recruitment agency in order to recruit participants to know exactly what we want. He's providing the quotas for the recruitment. He's asking about incentives. He's asking about renting facilities. He's asking even for things like Wi-Fi connection, AV equipment, even refreshments. So actually, this is better than what I will do. I never ask for refreshments when I brief an agency, but thanks ChatGPT for thinking about me and my well-being. So this is very good. He's asking about note-taking, video recording. Basically, he's taking all the information we had into our research plan, and he's inputting into his answer. And he's actually focusing on the qual briefing. He shared all the relevant information to brief the agency. And of course, he will reproduce some errors. Here are the ages. So the ages are not correct. You remember, we were focusing on Gen Z. So this will be too old, out of scope. So we need to adjust this. But I mean, besides these points and some minor points, this is something I could literally copy, paste into Outlook, and with a few adjustments, I can send it to the recruitment agency. So building a prompt, it's also great it will save you a lot of time because the AI will work with all the context you have already built. And at the end, this is automating some tasks that we do recurrently. Previously, as UX researchers, what we did when we want to create a research plan or when we want to send this kind of emails, normally we go into old emails or we go into our old projects, we go through the files and we try to find the research plan, we copy it, we paste, we adjust. So with artificial intelligence, this is something that you can do in a new way. So you can use these prompts and reuse them. So this is actually related to the fifth rule. So the last rule I want to share with you, it's actually to save and fine-tune all your prompts. So if previously UX researchers, we went through all the material we have and we copy, we paste, we adapt. Now what we can do with ChatGPT is actually to store all the prompts we are using for specific tasks and to save them somewhere. So this is just an example. I used an Excel sheet that is shared in the cloud with the team. You can do whatever method you want, but the interesting point here is that it's important to save and to store all these prompts that you are using to automate some tasks, because you will reuse them in the future. And actually, it takes some time to create a good prompt. So the question is, okay, why do I want to spend 15 or 30 minutes to create a great prompt if I can do a research plan in 20 or 30 minutes? It makes no sense. So the idea here is to save time on the long run. And in order to do so, it's important that you systematically store all your prompts. And if you create a prompt repository, there will be some benefits. So you will gain efficiency and time over the time, because you can reuse your prompt for future projects, and you can maybe modify some prompts. So if we take the example of the research plan prompt, you can copy this prompt for your future project. You can paste it into ChatGPT and you can change some words. If you are not doing a customer journey map, but you are doing a usability testing, for example, you just add usability testing, you adjust a little bit the prompt, and you can ask ChatGPT to do the work for you. So you will gain efficiency. It will increase the consistency, because it will help to standardize your research processes. And also, it's a great tool for collaboration and knowledge sharing, because if you share this with your team, it will build like a collective knowledge. So anyone in the team can create its own prompt. It can reuse old prompts that you have created. It can improve it. And the idea is to keep improving the prompts, to share the prompts, and to create like a collective knowledge. So actually, this will be where the intelligence of your team will be stored in a very specific place, organizing by processes, by tasks. So this is just an example, but in this case, I organize by these three columns with some tasks that you can do with ChatGPT. For example, creating a research plan, survey questionnaire. You can do budgeting. You can do, for analysis, you can count words, for example, for qualitative. You can review literature. There are a lot of things you can do. So list all the tasks that you are going to do with ChatGPT and create great prompts for each of them. Store everything and reuse these prompts. So you will earn a lot of time in the long run. Okay, so these were 5 rules to create and use ChatGPT prompts. So remember, when you create a prompt, it's important to be clear and specific with what you want. For this, you need to have a clear picture in your mind of what are the research processes, what are the tasks that you can automate. You need to provide context. You can use role play to create a great prompt. So you will put the artificial intelligence into a specific situation, and then you will input your expertise. So now ChatGPT will not replace you as a UX researcher, but you can input all your expertise into these prompts in order to build something that will provide helpful results. You can build upon prompts. So you use all the context you have already created, and you can save and fine-tune. So coming back to the question we were mentioning at the beginning, how to effectively use ChatGPT as a UX researcher. And actually, I think this is useful not only for UX researchers, but for different professionals, you can use the same approach. You can follow these 3 steps. First, list all your processes and all the tasks for which ChatGPT can help. You need to identify this. Then you can start creating reasonably accurate prompts for each of them. And then you save all your work into a prompt repository that you can share with the other team members. And you can reuse all of these and constantly updating this database, this prompt repository, constantly improving the prompts, adding new prompts. There's no need maybe to have a long list of prompts. You don't need 100 or 200 prompts. If you have identified 50 relevant tasks, you can create 50 good prompts to automate your work. So here was the research, all the different research processes. So identify all that you do, identify the task, and create prompts for each of them. So just a final thought on ChatGPT, because there is a lot of debate around this topic. Will artificial intelligence replace us as UX researchers? Will ChatGPT replace you as a UX researcher? Well, I think what we have seen in this presentation is that ChatGPT does not do magic. It's not magical. ChatGPT works with your input. So if you want good results, you need to input good information. ChatGPT will work with what you provide to it. In this sense, ChatGPT will not replace you as a researcher. But of course, it's important for you to understand how ChatGPT works, how it can help you in your work. So I've shared 5 rules that you can apply in order to create great prompts. And ChatGPT is not a replacement, but it's a powerful ally in your work. It will not replace you, but maybe someone who is using ChatGPT in a very effective way can replace you if you don't keep updated to all these new tools that are emerging, because here we have covered ChatGPT, but there are many other websites, many other tools that can help you to automate some manual and recurrent tasks, and in order for you to be more efficient. So of course, it's very important to learn how to use all these tools, on how to implement artificial intelligence in your work in order to gain efficiency. And you can automate manual tasks and focus more on the strategy. So thanks for listening. I will share this presentation also on LinkedIn. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. By the way, all the images in this presentation were made using artificial intelligence. I've used Blue Willow, which is a community on Discord. So artificial intelligence can also be helpful if you want to create PowerPoint presentations, if you need images to illustrate information in your reports, for example. It's also a good usage we can do of artificial intelligence. There's no time to explain how it works, but basically you can create also some nice prompts to create images. And so that's all from my end. Maybe just before going through some questions or some comments, because I'm very interested in knowing how all of you are using ChatGPT on a daily basis. we can maybe do a quick test and see how ChatGPT works. Because I think it's interesting also for you to now see live an example. So what we're going to do, so you are going to see live what we have just explained, because I think it's good also to have a very concrete example of how it works. I think most of you have already used the ChatGPT, but for those who haven't used it, this is OpenAI, and this is the chat. Here I selected ChatGPT 4 that was released past week, just a couple of days ago. And here I paste the prompt I used in this presentation.
Are you sharing your screen because you are still sharing your PPT?
Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Thanks. Okay. Okay, now you must see it. Yes, so sorry, I was saying this is OpenAI, this is the chat. We are going to see how it works. For those of you who haven't used it, so you can have a very clear example. And here is the prompt I used in the presentation. So I just copy pasted, it's the same I used to do this presentation. And we are going to send it to ChatGPT, and we're going to see the result. So as I mentioned, this is something you can adjust. So if you have created this prompt, you can adjust the keywords now. So for example, we are talking here about customer journey map, but if we would like to do a usability testing on a specific topic, we can input this in it. We can adjust the target, we can adjust the quotas and everything, and just send it. And now it's creating the research plan. And in this presentation, as an example, to build up on prompts, I talk about briefing an agency. But in this case, we can ask another thing. We can say, for the qualitative phase, let's say, we're going to ask ChatGPT to list 5 open questions. And also, let's be quite specific, 5 close-ended questions with possible answers. And you can say the questions, let's be specific. The questions must focus on the after-sales experience. Okay. Okay, so here ChatGPT is still working. So ChatGPT 4, it's a bit slower than GPT 3.5 because it's a bit more detailed, more creative, and provides more detailed information. Okay, so we have qualitative phase, we have quantitative phase, we have our budget, we have estimated timeline. He's still working. And when he will finish, I will just ask ChatGPT to focus on the qualitative phase and list 5 open questions and 5 close-ended questions. So I know in the qual we should not write close-ended questions, but take this just as an example. And we are asking to provide also all the possible answers for the close-ended questions. And also we will detail what we want to cover. So the after sales experience. So here you can see that I'm being quite detailed, quite specific. I'm focusing the questions on a specific phase of the research plan, and I'm focusing on a specific stage of the user experience. So this way I can have very accurate results. Okay, he's saying that he will last 10 weeks to do all of this. For me, the timeline, again, it's a bit too long. So if I want to do it in 1 month, let's say, I can adjust my prompt and say the timeline will be 1 month. Okay, but just for the example, we are going to build up on this and achieve another task. So we automate this research planning task, and now we are going to automate another task, which is creating a questionnaire. So let's say, okay, so qualitative phase, open-ended questions, and now ChatGPT is providing some relevant questions. So can you describe most recent after-sale experience? This is a good question. It's something I could ask in an individual interview. How would you rate the overall communication from the e-commerce platform after your purchase? This one, I don't know if it's a question good enough. What's your experience with the delivery and packaging? This is great. So here we are covering a specific topic in the after sales. Okay,
Daniel,
this is one.
there's a
Yes.
question from a participant. Can we use, it's from Amitav. Can we use ChatGPT to do content analysis in qualitative research?
Yes, there are ways to analyze and to do content analysis. You can count words, for example. You can ask ChatGPT to summarize information, and you can ask ChatGPT to group different inputs into different categories. So this is something you can do. And in order to do exactly what you need, you need to have a clear picture of what GPT can automate and create a prompt with very detailed instructions on what we want to have as a outcome, and ChatGPT will do it for you. So it can be a good support for content analysis. Okay, so here you see it has listed 5 questions. These questions are great. It's providing also all the possible answers. And if you feel confident, let's say 20 more questions. And you can play with ChatGPT all the day. You see, it's taking all the context into account. And so while ChatGPT is working, if you have any other questions, I see some messages in the chat. Let me go through them. Very insightful, wonderful. Okay, yes. Can we use ChatGPT to do content analysis? Yes, we can do it. Can we feed knowledge to GPT learning model research repository based on the previous research? Okay, the way I do machine learning with ChatGPT, it's actually what we are doing here in all this conversation. We are feeding ChatGPT with information that the model will reuse. In the past days, there are some issues with ChatGPT interface. Previously, I had all my history here. All the prompts I created was listed here. currently this feature is not available, but you can have different chats for different projects. So let's assume you have a project in which you are constantly doing content analysis. You can open a new chat and work always in this chat. So the AI will learn in the long run, along all the project, it will learn with all the input you are providing to it. And if you create different chats for different projects, the AI will take into account all the context of a specific chat. So let's assume this new chat, it's about customer journey maps. And this is a recurrent project. So we can always use this chat to create questions, to create research plan, and the chat will take all the information of all the context into account to generate the results. So this is a good way to do it. Again, I mentioned at the beginning the limits of ChatGPT. Be careful of what you are sharing to ChatGPT, because to be honest, I don't know what ChatGPT is doing with the information I'm providing to it. In this particular case, in this use case, I've shared something that it's not confidential. I'm just creating something from scratch. But if you are sharing sensitive information, you must take care, because yes, I don't know where this information will end. And basically, what we are doing is training the AI. And you can say if the result is good or not good. So we are training the AI, and we don't want to train the AI for free, providing sensitive information. But yes, a way to answer the question again, can we feed knowledge to GPT? Yes, you can create different chats for different projects and use always the same feed for a specific project. So here you see we have automated a big part of our work with the research plan. Now we have a lot of questions, and you can copy, paste them, and start reorganizing all the content and creating a questionnaire, an in-depth interview questionnaire. And so basically, what we have done in the past is we take old questionnaires, we update them. And this is an approach we still can use. But in addition to this traditional method, we can now use prompts that we have created. Okay, any other questions? Or if you want to share also some use cases or how you are using ChatGPT, this will be very helpful. Okay, so a question regarding Microsoft Edge Copilot. I haven't used it yet. So I need to use it. I haven't used it yet, but it's definitely something I want to investigate. The Microsoft AI and also Google just launched its own AI too. Those two I need to start using. I tried Google one yesterday, but it was not available in my country. So this one, I don't know.
Any other questions or any feedback or any questions for Daniel, or even some inputs of how you are using ChatGPT, perhaps for specifically for research or for any other purposes? That would be good for us to also learn. Okay, we have a very quiet audience, Daniel. I think everyone liked it, and they also.
Okay.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yes.
Thanks for this sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the next question is on consolidating knowledge and prompts, right? So how are we going to work on sharing our knowledge and refinements of prompts as an organization?
Yes.
I
Yes,
think,
because
Amy, we want to take that separately because we have external participants as well in this call. Or do you want to?
Okay, sure.
yes, but this is actually the key point. One thing is knowing how to use ChatGPT, knowing how to create a good prompt. And then the question is how to effectively implement ChatGPT usage among our teams. So I've shared some input on this, but definitely this is where all the magic will arise. It's not only about using the tool in itself, it's how to implement everything into our businesses and into our team in an effective way.
Yeah, I think we can work together, Daniel, and then everyone else can contribute. We can create a shared file, and I think that would be the starting point. Yeah. I think there is also a question from a participant from Pavitra is asking, are there any repository for prompt engineering for ChatGPT, any resources currently available repository of prompts? Do you know any?
Yes, so I think all of this is emerging now, and very soon we will see a market of prompts. So on LinkedIn, I've seen a UX professional who is selling prompts specially designed for UX researchers. So you can probably find something related to your field very soon. For now, I have this reference for UX research. But again, I think it's more interesting to learn how to use it than to buy prompts, because you are going to do very specific things with ChatGPT, and I haven't buy this prompt repository that this professional shared, but I'm afraid it will be maybe too generic. It would be good to give me some ideas on what I can do for my work. And I definitely think that if you follow these 5 rules I've shared in your work, you can achieve greater results.
Maybe once we create a repository ourselves, we'll try to share it later openly, because I think it needs a few different studies to, once we start doing it for specific studies, it will become even more refined.
Yes, that's why if you build a prompt repository, that was a suggestion, it's very important that this will be highly confidential, because this will be a storage of all the intelligence of your team. So this should be in a secure place. It's something you can share only with your team members, and you can use it in your work. So I think this is a good practice, but this will be gold, basically, because this represents hours of work. So you definitely need to save and store these in a safe place.
There's another question for you. This is regarding emotion mining from user comments. So yeah, this content analysis part where you're trying to get what are the emotions from the comments. Yeah.
Yes. I use it for sentiment analysis, and it's quite accurate. If you create a good prompt, you can achieve 80% accuracy. So you can definitely do it. I will not share the prompt here, but yes, ChatGPT is working to do this. Is a task you can do, you can perform with ChatGPT.
Okay. Any other questions, or else we're just on time, and I think we'll thank Daniel, and then we can set up another session maybe after 2 more months when we have even more experience on this. So yeah.
Yes, it will be interesting with ChatGPT 4 when we can implement images, audio, different inputs. It will be even much more powerful than what we have seen today. So this is, I share very basic stuff on how to create good prompts, but the possibilities are way more big than what we have seen today.
Yeah. So I think there's obviously this PPT and this even the recording will be shared on our Design You the community which we have on LinkedIn, and I think Daniel also can share it from his profile. So if you add Daniel on LinkedIn, you will get this. We'll also share this session recording in the Design You community, which is on LinkedIn. And I think right now what I see is Harris has shared some links for some of these prompts which he's found online. And yeah, so you can also copy paste those and use those if you want to as a starting point. But I think what Daniel mentioned is very true, that because each of your studies will be different, it will be dependent on the category, on the type of research you're trying to do. So there will be a lot of fine tuning which needs to be done, and that's specific for your particular research or your particular category. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Daniel.
So
Thanks
everybody. Thanks for organizing. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel. Bye. Thanks everyone for joining.